So take a deep breath in. And on the outward breath, close your eyes. That's it. And as you breathe in, I want you to imagine that you're breathing in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just get a sense that tension, stress, anxiety is leaving your body in your outward breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to get a sense that tension is temporary. Tension is echoes of previous times where you needed that tension. Continue to breathe in and breathe out, and just notice that when you think about what tension is, it's necessary and useful in the right context. You wouldn't be able to walk without tension. You wouldn't be able to talk without tension in your jaw. Facial expressions all require tension, albeit temporarily. But here in this moment, you don't need that tension. So as you breathe in and breathe out, give yourself permission to let go of that tension. That's it. As you breathe in and breathe out, just make a conscious intention to extend the length of each breath. Breathing in slower and deeper, and as you exhale, just allowing your body to slow down that pace. And as your breathing slows down, notice that you're able to feel deeper, relaxed now. As your body relaxes, I want you to imagine that your imagination becomes more active, just as it does when you sleep, or if you're reading a good book. And I want you to imagine that you're reading a book about a location in Mexico, a beach. I want you to imagine that you're following the words with your eyes. And sometimes, as we do when we read a book, the words on the page turn into movies in our minds. I want you to imagine that as you read that book, feeling the page turn, that you're creating a movie in your mind of being on that beach, perhaps in some nature reserve in a beautiful part of Mexico on the coast. I want you to imagine that you're walking towards the beach, seeing the whiteness of the sand, the blueness of the sky, hearing the gentle breaking of the waves. I want you to imagine that perhaps as you walk towards the sea, you see an animal, perhaps a turtle, slowly making its way across the sand. And I want you to get a sense that here you can feel relaxed. Imagine that as you breathe in, you're breathing in a bright, vibrant color that represents resourceful relaxation. And as you exhale, a darker color is leaving your body. That darker color represents the tension, anxiety, stress, and worries that you're able to let go of, to feel them leave your body in your outward breath, enabling you to go deeper and deeper, relaxed. I want you to imagine there is a hammock, the most comfortable hammock you've ever seen on this beach. Imagine climbing on the hammock and feeling your body weight supported by that hammock, perhaps between two palm trees or maybe something else. Imagine that you feel comfortable in this hammock. It's a comfortable hammock, supporting your body weight, feeling relaxed, and maybe feeling a slight sway of your body moving from left to right, as you can still hear the gentle breaking of the waves on the shore. I'm going to count down from 5 to 1, and I want you to imagine what it would be like to fall asleep in this hammock and start accessing positive memories of your past. 5, just eyelids getting heavier and heavier. That's it. Reducing any tension in your face. Now, that's it. 4, focusing on the muscles in your neck and your shoulders, just deciding to release that tension. Now, that's it. 3, feeling even that your internal organs are starting to relax. Heart relaxes, stomach relaxes, lungs relax, diaphragm relaxes. Now, that's it. to arms and legs, your limbs just get so deeply relaxed, feeling limp and loose like the puppets, limbs without any strings. Just feel how good it feels to be on that hammock, limp, loose, relaxed. That's it. Feeling a wonderful sense of peace and tranquility. And then just imagine what it would be like to fall asleep on that hammock, on that beach, knowing there's a turtle still making its way perhaps to the waves. And then with inside that dreamlike imagination, I want you to recall a time that you found the best possible way to deal with tiredness. In your whole life, I want you to go back to that moment and observe yourself like you're someone else. That when tiredness came along, you dealt with it in the best way you've ever dealt with it. Maybe you took a nap. Maybe you found a place to just rest. Maybe it wasn't a nap. Maybe you just chose to sleep at that point. But I want you to find something in your past that gave you the ability to sleep or to deal with tiredness in a way that gave you positive outcomes but no negative outcomes. You weren't sleeping instead of doing something else. I want you to find that you were doing something that got the balance just right. You managed to deal with the tiredness and without any negative consequences whatsoever. In fact, as you observe yourself waking up again, there were positive consequences. Maybe it helped with your emotional state. Maybe it helped with your energy levels and your ability to be productive. Maybe it helped because you just felt relaxed. There's something about dealing with tiredness in a way that serves you, that helps you. And sometimes just 10-15 minutes of closing your eyes and allowing that nap-like experience can really be just as good as an hour or two of sleep. But if you can identify a time in your past where you handled tiredness in a way that felt good in the moment and felt good when you thought about it afterwards, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And then I want you to go back to a different memory. A memory of when you celebrated and it felt so good, but without any negative consequences afterwards. Of all the times that you've celebrated in your life, allow your subconscious mind to take you back to a specific memory when you celebrated in a way that there were no regrets afterwards. No shame, no embarrassment, no excessive cost, just you celebrating in the way that made you feel good while you celebrated, but also made you feel good when you thought back to that moment. And if you can recall a memory like that, just let me know by nodding your head. That's it. I want you to step into that version of you, that body, and I want you to notice that you feel good for two reasons. You feel good for the sense of accomplishment and pride that you have from doing whatever was worthy of celebration. Notice where that feels like it is in your body and just point to that location. That's it. I want you to amplify that state, that feeling right there in that location, so you get to feel even better about doing that thing that was worthy of celebration. And then I want you to think about the way in which you celebrated also felt good. Maybe it involved doing something nice for yourself, which we can just label self-appreciation or self-love. Maybe it was doing something that involved other people, and we can just call that connection or shared experiences. But I want you to get a sense that given that this is the best moment of celebration, there'll be clues here that could be replicated in the future to give you a sense of accomplishment, but also a sense of pleasure that came from not just the cause of the celebration, but also the way in which you celebrated. And if you feel this is something that, if you did this more often rather than other things, it would be beneficial for your life and your future, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. It's time to leave this place, and now I want you to go back to a different time. I want your unconscious to find one time in your entire life where, by thinking through a difficult emotion, rather than avoiding it, suppressing it, or distracting from it, I want you to think of a time where a tough emotion, it wasn't an easy emotion, but by giving thought to that emotion, by exploring that emotion, led to positive, empowering changes in your life. Your life got better by dancing with that emotion rather than running away from it. If you can recall a memory like that, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to get a sense that emotions are infinite in their number. I want you to get a sense that an emotion could be something as simple as frustration. Back when you were a child, trying to read a word that you didn't understand may have led to a temporary feeling of frustration. And had you avoided that feeling of frustration, maybe you never would have learnt that word. But by feeling that frustration, perhaps it led to a feeling of determination or tenacity to keep on practicing that thing that felt frustrating. And then, wasn't there a moment that that thing that was a struggle then became easy? You weren't born with all the skills that you have, all the knowledge that you've attained, all the wisdom that you've accumulated. And a lot of the wisdom and the value that you have in your life didn't come from amazing moments. It came from tough moments, challenge, adversity. Perhaps, for example, a decision to move somewhere else came from sitting with an emotion and realizing that a decision needed to take place in order to take your life in the direction that you wanted to move it to. You could have just buried that emotion, felt that sense that something wasn't right, but by taking action on that emotion, your life improved, moved in a different direction that had more good things and less of the bad things. So again, allow your unconscious mind to think of all the possible times that a challenging emotion, a tough emotion, led to a good outcome because it influenced your thoughts, your behavior, your decisions, your actions, that improve the quality of your life. Just let me know when you've arrived at that memory. That's it. And I want you to observe yourself, but with the ability to read your mind. See yourself back then at the age that you were with that emotion. And realize that you could have handled that emotion in a different way. You could have swept it under the carpet, suppressed it, tried to not acknowledge that that emotion existed. You could have tried to self-medicate with that emotion, drink, food, drugs, or you could have distracted yourself away from that emotion. And yet, by observing that you actually confronted that emotion, sat with that emotion, evaluated where it came from and what you could do to change how you feel, realize that you had choices, but by making that choice, your life got better. And I wonder, what would have happened at key times in your life where the instinct was to distract, deflect, or suppress? I want you to imagine that there are many opportunities in your life to have made profound decisions where the emotion could have helped you to arrive at excellent decisions for you. And this isn't about regret. This is about the opportunity of knowing what you now know. What can you do differently in the future? And if you get a sense that the more that you listen to your emotions, work with your emotions, the more opportunity you have to make different choices and decisions. Just let me know by nodding your head. The very fact that you're here now meant that there was an emotion that you felt that wasn't right. And then you sought help in that area, which means that a large part of how you already think is enabling you to take your life in positive directions based on treating emotions like signposts, letting you know when you're moving towards more of what you do want and away from those things that you no longer want. I want you to get a sense that addictions require effort, thoughts, actions, behaviors. Addictions also require fuel. I want you to get a sense that if you don't put fuel in the tank of the vehicle, it doesn't work. I also want you to get a sense that if addictions require effort, what would happen if you just chose to be lazy about all these things that you've been doing to fuel your addiction? I want you to imagine that certain things require less effort. How much effort does it take to grow a beard? Even if it creates something that is desirable, sometimes the act is stop doing certain things rather than to do something new. And I wonder how positive your life could take just by stopping a few things, a few of those things that require so much effort anyway. What would happen to just choose to be lazy in certain key things? I want you to imagine a car. When a car gets from its starting point to its destination consistently, we develop a belief system that it's always going to do that way. But even if driving a car is automatic, because we've done it so many times, it still requires effort. Is it possible to drive the car if you can't find your keys? If there's no airs in the tires? If there's no power in the battery? If there's no fuel in the tank? I want you to get a sense that all it takes is one thing, and driving that car is impossible. I want you to get a sense of what are the essential ingredients in your addiction right now? And what would happen if you just chose not to do those things? What you're left with is an ability to deal with emotions as they come up and see what the signposts say, to reward yourself in ways that feel better than any substance can anyway. And to realize that taking a substance to help with tiredness is like taking out a loan from a loan shark because temporarily there isn't enough money. even if it feels like you have what you want in the short term, there's a price to pay not too far in the future. I want you to get a sense that you are creating new ideas, new possibilities of how to really meet those needs in new and eloquent ways that improve the quality of your life without any consequences. The key to a good decision. Does it feel right when you make it? And does it feel right when you think back on that decision that you made? You've been postponing making many decisions for a while. You are now opening up the possibility of not being afraid of those decisions, but in fact embracing them. One good decision will now give you 10 times the dopamine that anything else can give you, purely because decisions are the key ingredients into how you influence your destiny in your life. One good decision can amplify the quality of your life tenfold. And therefore, if emotions help you make good decisions, and good decisions feel good when you make them, but reward your future self, aren't those emotions something that you want, that you embrace, that you look forward to? It's time to return to that hammock on that beach, returning from those memories, but with new insights as to the infinite options you have available to feel good. That's it. I want you to get a sense that you're getting up out of that hammock, walking on that beach, but feeling like something's changed. That there are many vehicles that can take your life in the direction that you want to take them. And why would you choose a vehicle that is expensive and costly and has caused so much pain if there's better vehicles that do the same job? Now it's time to return to the present. No longer on that beach, but listening to my voice firmly in the present. Very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, but just to make sure that all parts are firmly in the present, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. That's it, fully in the present, starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.